See, it's been a while. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to request that all cell phones and electronic devices be turned off for the duration of the meeting. Mr. Stewart, can you hear us? Okay. That's okay. I'd like to have everybody, oops, oh. Okay, the board meetings are broadcast live over Comcast Channel 28 and Verizon Fios 32 and live streamed on our district website, as well as recorded for future broadcasting. Can I have everybody please rise for a moment of silence and pledge of allegiance, and please keep all of those that were at the elementary school in Texas in your thoughts. Keep forgetting. Do we have any public comment?
No, we do not.
Okay, you ready for your,
I'm ready.
all right, there we go.
Okay, first slide, please. The first couple slides, I just wanted to paint a picture of where we were and where we've gotten to. This first slide shows where the district stood financially back on June 30th, 2012. Our total expenditures were at $122.2 million, and we had a fund balance of just under $31.5 million. Our fund balance as a percentage of total expenditures was just under 26%. Fast forward 7 years, and our fund balance decreased by over $16 million, almost $17 million. Our total expenditures were up to approximately $153 million. And our fund balance as a percentage of our total expenditures was under 10%. Our fund balance reduction of $16.884 million reduced from that 31.47. That was a 54% increase over the last 7 years. And the fund balance as a percentage of our total expenditures was reduced by 63%. So for the years 2012 through 2019, it was not good. Although the 18-19 school year operationally wasn't that bad. We did take from fund balance that year, but that year was the turnaround year for the district because we transferred approximately $3 million from our general fund to our capital reserve. If it had not been for that transfer to buy 33 school buses, we had an operational surplus that year. So the 18-19 year was, say, the turning point, but we still drew from fund balance because of the purchase of school buses. Fast forward to June 30th, 2019. Our fund balance stood at $14,586,000 of total expenditures of under $153 million. As of this past June, our fund balance stood at $22,057,000. That's an increase over the last 3 years of almost $7.5 million. So operationally, 7 years in a row, we were going down. For the last 4 years, we've been going up. So we're on a positive trend. Our fund balance increase was, again, $7.47 million, or a 51% increase over the last 4 years. Fiscal year 21-22 projects to increase fund balance for a fourth consecutive year after 7 consecutive operating decreases. Next slide. Budget points. Our outlook obviously is better than in previous years. We've increased fund balance for the 18-19, 19-20, 20-21, and projecting for the 21-22. We're cautiously optimistic, and although the district is much better off financially, we're still serious financial issues facing the district. Basically, our ESSER funds are being utilized to continue maintain operations for this year, and we have it planned to utilize for the 23-24 and as well as a 24-25 year. One of the things that we wanted to point out, the district, due to a higher mix of commercial real estate, is more susceptible to changes in the economy. When you look at our breakdown of our assessed values, we're about 44% commercial, which is a much higher percentage than most of the Bucks districts. And our residential is a little bit lower. So when there's changes in the economy due to the large commercial composition of our tax base, we're more susceptible to fluctuations in the economy. When things are going good, it's good for us. When things are going bad, we feel it more. Next slide, please. Although the district is well positioned for the next 2 fiscal years, we must plan for life after ESSER. Tax-based growth will help. Our May 3rd county report, our total assessed value stands at $648,722,000. That's an increase from our January figure, which is great. So just tax-based growth alone went up almost $1.8 million. Without doing a thing, that equates to $293,000 in additional real estate tax revenue. We've built that into our proposed final budget, so the proposed final that you're voting on tonight reflects that additional $293,000. Increase in state funding benefits Ben Salem more so than other districts due to underfunding for years. Again, hitting on the fair funding formula. That benefits us, and from everything we're hearing, that Dr. Lee's hearing and his contacts in Harrisburg and our local representatives, we're due for a pretty substantial increase, we're hoping. Current interest income we have is low just due to where the rates are this past year. Rates are starting to increase. With that, I mean, in prior years, we've had interest income approaching $1 million. This year we have, and last year, under 100,000. So when interest rates start to grow, it's going to help our district out as well. So we're contemplating looking at readjusting where we are in interest income in our proposed final. So that may be a change that we make from now until the final budget adoption in June. Tax increase in 22-23 and 23-24 should be considered to make up for loss of ESSER funds. Savings due to teacher retirements have not been factored in yet. Those savings will be reflected in the final budget. So we've had over 20 teacher retirements, and the breakage between a teacher who makes 6 figures and a teacher that we hire at, say, $65,000 is a considerable savings. So those will be factored in, and the budget picture will look better after those are factored in. Next slide, please. So how much did our expenditures go up? So our 21-22 budget has $163,046,709. Where we're at today is $168,405,646, or a $5.358 million increase, or about 3.29%. And some of that increase is due to ESSER funding. There's recurring ESSER funding and there's one-time ESSER funding. So we have both of those in our budget. So the one-time ESSER funding is kind of inflating your expenditures, and those will go away. The ESSER funding that we have supplanting our recurring costs, those costs will stay there, and we'll have to make those up. What are the major budget cost increases? Information technology, that went up significantly. Our healthcare went up significantly. Salaries, transportation, and charter tuition. Those are our main budget drivers this year. PSERS is kind of topped out. Special ed didn't go up a whole lot this year either. So, how much did our revenues go up? Revenues currently at $167,997,595. Dramatic increase from the $158,772,993. So $9.2 million increase, or about $5.81 million. Again, a lot of that is ESSER funding. A lot of that is we have a tax increase. A lot of that is assessment value increases. We projected a substantial increase in our state aid. We think that number is even low, though. And the one-time ESSER money, those things have contributed to really balloon our revenues this year. How does Ben Salem's millage rate compare with the rest of the county? Currently, Ben Salem has the 6th highest millage rate out of the 13 school districts in Bucks County. How does the Ben Salem average tax bill compare with the rest of the county? Currently, Ben Salem has the 2nd lowest average tax bill, and this is based on the median assessed value times the millage rate. So although we're one of the higher, we're probably middle to upper as far as our millage rate. As far as tax bill, we're 2nd from the bottom. Does this budget include a tax increase? Yes, we included the 1.7 increase as directed by the board. Our 21-22 millage stands at 164.9508. With the 1.7% increase, that would bring us to 167.755, or a 2.8042 millage increase. Now, the one thing, this is something that I've been doing this for over 30 years. Act 1 was approved back in 2006, and since that time, they've had minimal increases in the gaming revenues. If you go back to 2006, our allocation was $2,260,000. So in 16, 17 years, it's increased $10,000. So from $2,260,000 to $2,270,000. You can see there's been virtually no growth in that number. And you can tell the state has a lot of money because they've increased our amount from 2.2 million to 2.8 million. It's a 26% increase. So over 16 years, we see a $10,000 increase, and in 1 year, we see a $600,000 increase. So that's good news for, I think, what our state funding is going to be. You can see our 21-22 homestead amount based on 12,007 homesteads, and the $2.27 million equated to $189 per tax household. So what that means is $189 we compute based off what the millage rate is. So that equates to about $1,400 in assessed value. So when you get your tax bill, you'll see what your assessment is less the homestead. So that $1,400 equates to about $189 in taxes on the 164 mills. Now, with the state increasing that amount, and right now in Ben Salem, there's 11,657 homes approved for the homestead. That number is going to be $246. So you can see it's an increase of $57 per household. So the state stepped up. You'll see in this proposed final budget, the gaming revenues from the state have increased by that $600,000, and you'll see a corresponding decrease in our real estate tax revenues because it's a wash. We don't see any additional money, so we get the money from the state, and then we turn around and we reduce everybody's tax bill by that corresponding amount. So the median homestead is at $22,920. The tax bill based on 164 mills was $3,780.67, and you subtract that $189, that brings the median tax bill to $3,591.67. At the 1.7% increase, times that median, that's $3,844.94. And you back out the $246, which is now the homestead, you can see the median tax bill is now $3,598.94. So even with the board increasing taxes by that 1.7% or that 2.8 mils, the median assessment is only going to see a $7 increase from last year. And you're going to have over 4,000 households see zero increase because there's 4,000 households where their assessed value is at a level that their increase will be covered by this $57 homestead amount. So, it was good news. Next slide is just a graphical presentation of the average tax bill by school district. You can see to the far left, Bristol Borough is way low. They have very low assessed value. They have a very low millage rate. And you can see to the far right, New Hope Solebury. They have, I believe, the lowest or the second lowest millage rate, but they have the highest assessed value. So you can see their average tax bill is close to $6,000. We're proud of where we stand. We're second to low in the entire county as far as average tax bill at $3,781. So I think we show well there. Next slide is the millage rate. You can see to the far left, the highest tax bill has the lowest millage rate. And you can see correspondingly where we stand. We're towards the middle, a little bit higher than average in the county as far as where we are millage-wise. Next slide. This shows the median assessed properties. You can see Bristol Borough has the lowest. We're fourth from the bottom as far as our median assessed property. Next slide. Just a question we posed. Does the approval of the proposed final budget lock our district into a tax increase? No. The board's action tonight does not lock you into anything. This is just perfunctory. It's required by law by the state of Pennsylvania. We have to have a proposed final budget. It has to be on display. The board has the latitude to change anything, to keep taxes the same, to increase them where they propose, to increase them more, whatever you guys want to do. What you do tonight locks you into nothing. Adjustments that we have to make before the final budget, there are attritional savings that I mentioned earlier that are going to be substantial. Minor staffing adjustments, I think it's going to be a net increase, but it's going to be minimal, especially when you consider what the attritional savings are. It's going to be an overall decrease there. Gasoline and diesel fuel adjustments. We did make adjustments from the preliminary to where we are today. We went up over $190,000. We think we're pretty good. If the change is, we may be able to decrease it a little bit, but we may just keep it the same because it's on a fluctuating scale. Where they came in, we were like on May 18th, like $3.26 a gallon. So the other thing, hopefully we get our final state subsidy. Hopefully the government passes the budget so we know where we stand as far as what state subsidy is going to be. We're hoping it's significant. Everything we hear it's going to be significant, but you can't base your budget on a hope. And the last thing, we've talked about it. I don't think we've gotten any direction on it, is our Chromebook initiative. I'd like to bring that up at our Business Affairs Technology meeting one last time to see if we can get a recommendation on what the board wants to do as far as Chromebooks. I know we have Chromebooks. Nick, it's 6 through 12 right now, built in?
No, we don't have any plan to sustain the program going forward outside of ESSER funds.
Okay, so there's nothing like even for replacement at the high school level?
Outside of ESSER funds, no.
Okay. All right, so we're going to have a discussion on the Chromebook initiative and get direction on that.
Will you need us to come to a consensus for instructional affairs, or have they already provided what is needed?
I haven't gotten any direction from the board on what we want to do.
I mean, from instructional, like instructional cabinet, and do we need to, because our meetings, we have 2 weeks. Just making sure for instructional affairs, is there anything that you need before you go into the business meeting? So it's not held up, because I know things take forever to get ordered, not ordered, but to come in.
Yeah, I think this is a decision that should be made board-wide. I mean, we're talking potentially $800, $1 million a year moving forward. So this is going to be a serious impact on the budget. So I think this is something that has to be given direction from the entire board. We can have 2 budgets prepared. I mean, that $1 million won't make a big difference in making 2 different budgets. So the night of the budget hearing, I'll have several iterations for you to approve, one with where we're at. And if I hear the direction is to do the K-12 initiative, we'll have a budget with that as well.
Madam Chair, does it make sense for us to revisit our IT presentation and connect it to what it supports in an educational way at IA? We'll be prepared to do that.
Well, I guess my concern is, I guess we have meetings. We have a committee of the whole in June that we can get direction, that we can get a board direction on what you guys want to do as far as Chromebooks are concerned.
Was it only a conversation around what was like a 3-year life cycle, Nick, that you were talking about, and maybe a certain volume every 3 years, rotating them out? Was that, as far as we got on that, was only just discussion?
Yeah, so I basically presented 4 different options. It was either K through 12 Chromebooks or 7 through 12 Chromebooks, and then either a 3-year replacement cycle or a 4-year replacement cycle for each of those options.
So if instructional affairs and technology, and then we can discuss it at committee of the whole and then get direction from the whole board, and we'll have a final budget drafted around that. That's our presentation for tonight. I was told I had to be a half hour or less, so. Any questions?
You ready? Mrs. Ferreira, you're on.
I'd like to make a motion I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the resolutions 4.01 to 4.10 as presented. The proposed final budget for the fiscal year of 2022 to 2023 will be available at the School District's Administration Building for public inspection 30 days prior to the adoption of the final annual budget. Adoption of the final budget for the 2022-2023 fiscal year will be held on Tuesday, June 28, 2022, at the Dorothy D. Call Administrative Center, Board Meeting Room, 3000 Don Allen Drive, Bensalem, PA 19020, at 6 p.m.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Are there any questions on the motion? May I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Pettyjohn,
Aye.
Mrs. Nicholas,
Aye.
Mr. Meyer,
Aye.
Mr. Stewart. Aye. Mr. Cohen,
Nay.
Mrs. Rivera,
Aye.
and Mr. Price.
Nay.
5 ayes. Motion carries.
Especially was nay this time too, because the great news with the homestead. You know, if there's no tax increase, This could really be, you know, another small savings to our taxpayers.
This is not the final budget, and I am guessing there's going to be some more requests for sharpening of pencils over the next month. Just
Usually we get more presents early for Christmas and Hanukkah, yeah, from Mr. Steffi, yeah, and the state.
do we have any public Q&A?
I have no public comment cards.
Okay, upcoming budget meeting dates. Intend to adopt the final budget for the fiscal year 2022-2023 will be on June 28th, 2022 at 6 p.m. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second. Sorry. So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against?